Ready? Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm really excited for the episode. Really excited. We've got a proper story of how to go from being like an average college soccer player to going and making it to the next level, taking your chance and really like coming from nothing. So I'm super excited to get into it today. It's a crazy story, actually, how me and Mikey like kind of know each other, but not really. We were playing together in the USL 2 a few summers ago. And we knew each other, but we weren't really like boys or anything like that. And then I've obviously moved to Miami recently. Mikey plays for Miami FC in the USL Championship. And today is going to be a really good episode. I've got my script as usual, but I don't think we're going to go through the script. I think we're just going to chat. But yeah, Mikey, cheers for coming, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, who are you? What's your story? Where are you from? Where are you at right now?
So I live here in Miramar, actually. Play for Miami FC in the USL Championship, and this will be my first full season, but I've been part of them for 3 different years now.
Nice, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about like your journey from the very start. So you're from Florida, you grew up here. Talk to us about like your childhood in terms of soccer, like from when you first started playing soccer up until like college.
So yeah, obviously as you know, most footballers, we all start at a young age, and we kind of play it as an extracurricular activity, you know, just to have fun and stuff like that. And I actually stopped playing for a little bit when I was in high school to play American football and basketball.
Really?
Yeah, but then I realized I wasn't too good at those, so I kind of found my way back to football. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to find a little scholarship to go to college, and from college to end up where I am now.
Got it. So did you play like MLS, CCNL? Like who did you play for?
Growing up, no, I played for like just like the normal travel teams you have, like, you know, Davie, Weston. I don't know if people who, you know, just local cities that have the normal travel teams that were close to my house.
Right.
You know.
Okay. So like when you were playing, were you taking soccer seriously? Was it like something you were doing every day and you were kind of dialed in, or it was just for fun?
Honestly, I guess I have been kind of lucky where I was always kind of more athletic than everyone else, you know. So to me, it was more for fun, but I just happened to be good at it just because I was so much more athletic than the others, you know. So being a forward, it was kind of just, growing up, it was just kick it long, and I'm gonna run, and hopefully it goes into the goal, you know.
Yeah.
And so never really had to take it too serious.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
how did you get from that to playing in college?
So throughout, obviously, as you get older and older, you know, competition starts getting a little bit harder, and you start getting a little bit better. Honestly, getting into college was like, my development throughout college was insane. Like when I think about my first day there to my last day, it was really the coaches just seeing, I guess, the athleticism and seeing some type of potential to invest in me, you know. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. So when you were kind of growing up and playing like club travel soccer, you were going and playing basketball and American football for a bit. What was kind of like going on in your life? Were you like really focused on your academics? Were you kind of just playing football for fun? Were you wanting to maybe go to college, or you would like what was kind of going on?
Honestly, it was I just loved being active, you know, and you know, playing football, there's not usually many African Americans, you know, so when you're in school and stuff like that and you hang out with other people like you, they usually in America play basketball, football. So to hang out with them and do stuff, I was kind of playing with them for fun. And, you know, when you play it more and more, you kind of get a little bit better. You kind of start enjoying it more and stuff like that. So I was honestly I loved football, but I also loved playing basketball with my friends and stuff. So it's kind of just, I was doing everything just to stay active, have fun with everybody, and just I was just going with the flow.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Okay, so for an American kind of listening to that, they might be like, oh, this guy made it to college, but he was just kind of playing for fun. And right now there's a big stereotype, like you have to play MLS, you have to play CNL to make it to college.
Yeah.
How did you get your college offer?
Honestly, just like going to showcases and stuff, you know, going to showcases, and I might have been playing for fun, but when it came to games, I'm still a competitor, you know, like I hate to lose, and being a forward, I was just always just wanting to score. So I might have been playing, like, you know, when I say play for fun, it's not like when we weren't training, like I wasn't going to be in the gym trying to do all these things and eat the right, you know, I was still young and just having fun. But when it came to game time, you know, I was like, I don't want to lose, you know, so I guess people on the outside can kind of see it. Like they didn't know the habits off the field, but they saw me on the field that I was determined to try to get, you know, do my part as best as I could, you know.
So then when you were going to college and you had the Division 2 offer, because you played at Nova Southeastern, yeah?
Yeah.
So you played there all 4 years?
Yeah, actually 5 because of COVID.
5 because of COVID, okay.
Yeah.
So was it just Nova? Did you have Division 1 offers, Division 3 offers? What was that like?
So going into college, I had Division 1 offers, but I didn't have the best grades. So, you know, there's people that's probably a little bit better than me or even the same level, but they have, you know, better grades. So thankful to Matt Watts and Nova where he was like, hey, I see something in this guy. We'll talk about him academically and stuff like that, make sure that he's at least eligible to keep playing, and then I'll do the rest.
Nice. So they spoke to the admissions to help you get into the school?
Yeah. So then like every week I had to meet up with a person to make sure I was turning in my assignments, I wasn't missing classes. Nice. and all that stuff, because in high school I was lost.
Really?
Yeah, I just wanted to play sports and hang out with my friends and stuff.
So you weren't dialed in the classroom?
No, not at all, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I was very fortunate for a lot of teachers to help me out.
Really?
Yeah.
So talk to us about that. Like, you not being dialed in with the schooling process, was it just because you were like, you just didn't dedicate time to it, or you just were lazy, or you just weren't smart? Like, honestly,
it's just boring, you know, like being someone who just loves to be active and going and stuff like that, just sit down and just be in a classroom or sit down and do homework, to me it was tough, you know. Like I if I'm sitting down doing something, my leg is shaking, you know. I want to move, I want to go and do something. So a lot of teachers, obviously, like, they saw I was a nice guy and I was respectful. I just didn't really care much about school, to where they always want to speak to me and stuff like that. So when I came to them I spoke to Nova, and Nova was willing to, like, hey, if you can get your GPA right here, then we can accept you. And there was teachers who actually, you know, they cared. So I spoke to them about it, and they were able to actually give me old assignments to, like, bro, this is so easy. Just do this and I can fix this grade for you to help you get into college, you know?
Okay, interesting. And then in terms of, like, trying to play college soccer, did you work with any agencies? Did you email a lot of coaches before you went to showcases? Did you go to a lot of camps? Or, like, how did you get exposure?
So when I was playing club, I played 1 year older. So a lot of my teammates were trying to get college offers, where they were emailing them to make them come to the games. And while they were coming to watch some of my other teammates, they happened to see me. And I happened, the couple games they came to, I happened to have really good games, and they invited me to the camp, you know. And then I went to the camp and I did well again at the camp, and after that they kind of just offered me and confirmed their interest. So.
Interesting. And then, because you played 4 years at NSU, so talk to us about, you said your freshman year compared to your senior year was very different.
Yeah.
Why?
It was like when you're growing up, you're like, oh, I want to play D1, no matter, like, me playing all these sports, I was like, no matter, like, where I go, I want to play D1. I want to, you know, and I got to Nova, and seeing how Nova was before I got there, they weren't the best of teams. And when I got there was about 15 or 16 new people that came, a lot of transfers from top Division 1 schools and stuff like that. And when I got there, it was a big culture shock. Like, the level was way higher than I thought and way higher than I could compete at, you know. So I spent a good 2-3 years just adapting and trying to catch up to everyone, you know, and that's what kind of helped with a big improvement and development in terms of for myself.
Yeah, right. So big culture shock coming in with a transfers, international students, and that was completely different to club soccer, right?
Completely different.
How was it different? Like, tactically, physically?
Physically, you're held accountable for everything. The small details matter. You know, in club, when we're growing up, we're playing for fun. You make little mistakes. No one really, unless you didn't pass on the ball, they don't really care what happens, you know. But here, it was really about winning and holding each other accountable on and off the field. And there were certain standards that need to be met every day, to where you naturally just start getting better and better, because you don't want to be that one guy that's making the team worse, you know. And
how, because from your high school, I'm assuming that you were, I don't want to use the word lazy, but in high school you were, like, just kind of going through the motions, just kind of, if someone asked you to do something, you'd do it, but you didn't really have any proactiveness. And then you get to college and you're like, oh shit, like, I need to lock in, I need to do this. How did you find that motivation?
It was, honestly, it was like, you when you see that certain people start relying on you, then you don't want to disappoint them, you know. Because when I first got into college, I had the same habits as I did in high school, to where I was still missing some assignments and doing certain stuff off the field that I shouldn't be doing, where it made me miss practices, miss games, and things like that. I saw that my coach still believed in me, still saw potential in me. It kind of made me be like, yo, you need to wake up. You know, you need to lock in and focus. Like, there's people who are actually counting on you, and people that you're disappointing, you know. And it's not a good feeling when you're disappointing anyone, especially someone that I didn't even get accepted into the school, you know. And he went extra miles just to try to find a way to give me this opportunity, you know?
So that came from within. You were like, damn, I need to.
Can't take this for granted, especially when you see how many people go to these camps, how many people reach out to these coaches, and how many people just want to play college in general, you know? So it was a matter of just being grateful for the opportunity.
So how did you compare as an American freshman compared to international players, transfer players? Were you the first name on the team sheet? Did you have to work hard in training? How did you get minutes?
Yeah, it was like being very athletic. It was kind of gave me a little bit of, I guess, a lucky boost over certain people. But I think when you compare, especially not growing up in any major academies, when you compare yourself to other freshmen, especially internationals, they're already a little bit above you, you know, to where it's you have to do the most to try to just, once you can catch up to them on a certain level, your athleticism for myself helped me surpass them a little bit to catch a certain eye, you know, and I'm a big guy, so it kind of already gets a little bit of attention. So I was kind of lucky for that.
So how do you think, you talk a lot about athleticism, how do you think that getting to college, like tactic, like was there any other parts of your game that really improved?
Yeah. Being fast, you know, you never really have to control the ball. You just kind of kick it and run. And when you get to college, there's guys who know how to deal with that, you know. So I would say for my first year and a half, I mean, I guess still to this day, I'm still trying to work on it. But yeah, when you're doing so many technical drills and you're the one who's always messing up and stuff, you know, you do the little extra stuff now. You focus extra on the small details and you just overall you just start getting better and start adapting to the level, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And then, so you're at college, you've come through high school, you've got your college offer, you're starting to play, you're starting to get minutes, starting to like get integrated into the team. How was your college experience in terms of soccer? Did you guys win a lot? Were you successful? Were you motivated? Were you improving every day? How was your kind of 4-year college experience in terms of soccer?
Yeah, no, we from when I got there, we started becoming a winning team. You know, not because of me, just obviously the coaching and all the players that he happened to bring in. My freshman year, I was coming off the bench and giving, you know, the starting guy just a quick little breather. Then he came back in and stuff like that. So, but thankfully, by the time I got there, they were a winning program and I couldn't complain. You know, it was a very competitive conference. I think it was 5 teams out of the conference were top 25 in the country and stuff like that. So every game was hard. But overall, yeah, and we ended up eventually going on to win the conference tournament, to win regionals, go Final Four, you know. So I have nothing to complain about it, to be honest.
Why do you think that team was successful? Was it the coaches? Was it, obviously it's probably a mix of everything, but specifically, like, was it the coaches? Was it the players? Was it the culture? Why do you think you guys won?
Honestly, like it got to a point where that year where we went very, very far. Obviously the coaching was well and the tactics, and we were well prepared as a team, but it was, I don't know if it was the winning or what it was, but it was like everyone was together. You know, it was like if we were traveling, when you're going to the dinner table, you know, usually you want to sit with your boys and stuff like that. During these times, it was like, I don't care who I sit next to. Like, everyone here is my brother. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was more of the togetherness that we always had each other back. When someone made a mistake, it was like, yo, we're good. Like, don't worry, we got you, you know? And when you play that kind of confidence and stuff, it's easy to get the best out of everyone.
Absolutely. No, I think the culture is important. That's good to hear. And then, so throughout your 4 years, you're winning, you're playing, you're scoring goals. Was there a point where you were like, I want to be a pro? Did you always want to be a pro? Did you just play soccer for fun and whilst you could get your degree? Like,
yeah. Not growing up in much clubs and stuff like that, you don't really hear about much people unless they're part of the academies or national teams that they actually end up going pro, you know, or Division I and things like that. So when I first got to college, it was more of, especially my first and second year, it was more of a, you know, I want to get the girls. Like, I'm a soccer player. I want to talk to these girls. Like, let me score some goals, you know, whatever. But then eventually, the older guys, I saw the older guys who were actually, you know, who were good. They ended up going to play professional. And, you know, me playing Division II, I was like, oh, like, that's possible? You could do that? So now it was more of, obviously, you know, it sucks to say this, but it was like, yeah, when I first came as a freshman, not really having the best discipline, I was a little out of shape and stuff like that. So going forward, it was kind of like, yeah, I want to get in shape. I want to score goals. I want to, you know, I want people to know who I am, you know, and all this stuff. And then as I started to take things a little bit more serious and I started reaching my potential more and more, then I saw that I was actually pretty good, you know, and I was like, oh, this can actually maybe be possible. Maybe if I focus a little bit more, this can actually work. So yeah.
So that was like, again, inside of you. That was like, wake up, lock in, and this can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was just from the environment that you're in.
Exactly, yeah. And then luckily, like by that time that stuff happened, a guy on the team, he was in his last season. He really wanted to go pro, and he happened to be a very good friend of mine, and we lived together. So I kind of saw his habits. He's like 4 years older than me. I started seeing his habits and just started living off of that. You know, like, oh, I should be going to bed at this time. I shouldn't be eating this. I should, you know, and then eventually that just implements into your routine, and you start realizing.
I'm so glad you said that, because it's so important. Like the environment that you're in your culture.
Yeah.
Like the people that you hang around with, what are they doing? What are they putting in their bodies? What time are they going to bed? Their actions.
Yeah.
That's so important for like you becoming a pro, because for example, at Nova is a winning program at Division 2, right? So like people might say, oh, if I want to be pro, you have to go D1.
Yeah.
Or if I want to go pro, I have to go straight to the MLS next pro and not go to college. But if you're at a Division 1 team that loses every week, that doesn't have guys that want to go pro, but they're not taking the best decisions, you're going to get affected by that environment, and you're going to lower your standards. But if you're at a Division 2 school and you're winning, you have guys that want to go pro, that environment is so important.
Yeah.
So how do you think, like, I talk about this all the time, like D1 or bust, and it's really frustrating talking to kids that just want to play D1, just want to play D1. And you were probably that kid at one point.
Of course.
Looking back now, like, how has your mentality kind of changed, like D1 or bust?
Yeah, honestly, because so after my second year of college, my second season, I had a better season now. And now there was other D1 schools. Now they were like, hey, he's able to get accepted into our school now. He's good. Like, we can offer him whatever. But seeing the setup in the organization and the players that I had around me at Nova, I was scared to go to a school just to say I'm D1 and it not be the same level, or maybe the environment, and I might fall back into the habits that I was in before. You know, I was in a vulnerable state where I was easily influenced. So I was scared to leave Nova, even though I had Division 1 offers. I knew that if I kept these kind of people around me, then I have a chance. You know,
right. And then talk to us about like getting from Division 2 to the pros. I mean, I know we just talked about it off camera, but did you have an agent? Did they come and watch you? Like how, like people are going to be like, wow, he really went from Division 2 to the USL Championship. How did it come about?
So being kind of like, you know, as a number 9, we have a lot of ego, you know, and we always want to think that we're the best. And during the spring and the off season, I was at a point now where I was trying to actually become a starter and prove my point that I can be the main.
Spring of your sophomore, junior, senior?
Spring of going into my junior season.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, I want to be the main man. You know, the starting guy, like there was debate if he was going to stay or not, whatever. But I was like, you know what, I want to prove myself. And in the spring, you know how it works in college. Spring is like the practice games and stuff like that. We were playing against Miami FC. I didn't really know much about, you know, I knew they were a professional team, but I didn't know much about them or how it works. I just knew they were a professional team. And I was like, all right, let's see how good I really am. And I happened to have a decent game to where the coach, you know, got his attention and stuff like that, to where when I eventually finished my time at NSU, I honestly, I studied in college. I studied criminal justice. So, you know, I wanted to go to the federal government and stuff like that. So while my season ended as a senior, I was on a track like, oh, what now? You know, what am I going to do now? And honestly, after a night out or whatever, you know, having fun with the boys, my coach just calls me like maybe a month and a half after the season. Was like, hey, like, do you want to go on trial with Miami FC? And I was like, oh, like when? He's like, oh, like in another like 2 months. And I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know what I'm gonna do, so yeah, sure. I'll go do that and see how that goes, you know. So and then when I got there, it was another big culture shock again. So.
Why? What was the culture shock?
Again, it's like, you know, when you go from club to college, it's like, oh, wow, now people are stronger, people are older, the game is faster. And then now when you go from college to pros, people are stronger, people are faster, people are smarter, you know, to where it was like I was a freshman all over again. It was all about adapting now.
Because that's a big jump too. Like Division 2 to USL Championship. Yeah. Like there's a lot of like Division 2 to USL 1, but like Division 2 to USL Championship is a big jump.
So like the thing about it is because when you play Division 1, there's no, like if you go to a good Division 1 school, your team is good. Like you're going to beat probably every Division 2 school.
You have facilities, you have like 5 coaches.
Exactly. So where like when we played against Division 1 schools, we were able to kind of compete with our starting 11, but then now Division 1 schools have the depth to where everyone on the team is it's pretty good, you know. So but again, it can't compete to like pros, you know. So when I got there now, it was more of honestly, I was in the mindset of like, let me just embrace all this and be thankful that I'm here in this situation, and whatever happens after this, I'm just thankful to even been able to spend some time and see how it is as a professional.
That's interesting, because a lot of players would be like really stressed going into a pro trial. Like, I need to play really well. I need to like put a lot of pressure on themselves, right? But I guess you went there like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm grateful. I'm gonna take this opportunity for what it is.
Yeah.
How was your attitude going into it?
Yeah, it was.
Did you feel pressure or?
Honestly, it was. I was the youngest person there, and you know, there wasn't much expectation for me, you know, to where if I played bad, it was like, oh, this guy's played Division II, you know, and if I played well, then it was like, oh wow, this guy's actually pretty good. Why did he play Division II? You know, so I was kind of on the bottom of the food chain, to where it was like, I have nothing to lose, you know. So I'm just honestly gonna, whatever you guys want to tell me, I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna keep trying to just get better and better as I'm here. Because maybe after this, I don't know, maybe these coaches can say something to someone else, and I can end up somewhere else, you know. So it was more of just being a sponge.
Right. Wow, that's interesting, because I want to talk about this mentality too, because I feel like your mentality is kind of like, you don't really think about next year. You don't really think about 5 years down the line. You don't really think about what's gone on behind. You're just like, today is my opportunity. I'm going to take this. And like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'll figure it out. How important do you think your mentality has been in your career?
I think that's huge. It's any athlete can say it, is that when you're full of confidence and when you really don't care, whether you're playing with your friends, you play way different with your friends than you do when you're with your team. You know, when you start off the game, the first 30 minutes of the game on fire, playing well, then you usually end the whole game on fire and well. When you start off bad, it's kind of like, I need to get out of this, you know. And mostly when you play bad, it's either because you're nervous, because you're scared of what people think, or you don't trust yourself. And so to me, it was more of, let me just do me. Let me be me. You know what I'm saying? And whatever I'm doing wrong, someone's going to tell me. There's going to be some guy out there who wants to give you that constructive criticism to help you grow and get better. So it's more of a just keep being you, and eventually the opportunities will come, as long as you prepared yourself properly.
Do you see yourself as a role model?
It depends. I think off the field I can be considered as a role model. But now in terms of on the field, I still like a little bit of consistency, you know, like, you know, some days you're tired, some days and I go through that mental battle of always, I love to compete, but when it comes to practice, it's kind of tough, you know. And I think when I think of role models, of people who can show up every single day and just be consistent and be on point and be sharp, and you look at them and be like, bro, like, that's a real pro, you know.
How did you, I totally know what you mean. Like, I think that was my problem, was that I didn't have the shift from being like a good player to like a pro player, like is a different ball game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't need to explain to you. You know what it means. But like, in terms of eating the right food, taking care of yourself, and mentality too. I think mentality is a big thing. Work ethic.
Yeah.
When you were at Nova, I'm assuming that you were winning, you were scoring goals, you were, you know, behaving and taking care of yourself. But like, you were probably better than the level. But when you went to Miami, did you have another shift where like, I really need to lock in now?
Yeah, of course. So when I got to Miami, it was, so when my coach called me, I spent the next 2 months just like trying to be as fit as possible, trying to be as strong as possible, as fast as possible.
So you prepared for the trial?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I prepared. So now it was like, okay, like, this is a chance to actually start getting paid to play. You know, it's like, bro, you can't go and embarrass yourself and especially embarrass your coach that he just vouched for you. So it's like, you know, I'm gonna prepare myself. And I got there and I felt confident. You know, I had a good last season. Now I'm feeling fit, all that stuff, and the little details off the field affects you a lot more on the field than people think. You know, the sleep, the things you put in your body, the little recoveries, you know, and people overlook those things. They don't realize how much it helps you mentally. When you feel good, now you're playing better, you know, rather than your knee hurts or your quad is tight or something. And when you sleep, when you get enough amount of sleep, like now you're more awake, and being in that situation is like, I already know that I'm already below the level, so I need to have every little thing possible to help me just keep up with these guys, you know.
What's the most important part of your routine?
I would say the food. I'd say your nutrition is huge. It's huge. Like it keeps your endurance, it keeps your body recovered, and I'd say food and sleep is most important, first and foremost.
Got it. Interesting. I'm really glad you're here, because I want to talk a lot, because a lot of players are going to be listening to this and they're going to be like, fuck, like I could do this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I could really make it.
Yeah.
What do you think are the reasons why they won't make it?
Honestly, it's if you have discipline, in terms of, when I say discipline, doesn't mean to work hard every day. Discipline comes on and off the field. It's the eat, sleeping, all that stuff. Make sure you're recovered. Make sure that every day comes, you're able to actually perform to your full potential. And then now it's believing in yourself. You know, like coaches want people who, who they can see that they trust themselves, you know, who are able to take these little risks, that they know that, hey, this guy has a good shot, he's able to shoot. This guy's a good defender. He doesn't mind a 1v1. He loves to go into these tackles. You know, it's showing that personality, and it's showing that back yourself. You know, you can't go to these tryouts and stuff and scared to make mistakes. Play you, be you. You know what I'm saying? And if you worked hard enough and you trust yourself, now it's time to go express yourself. Don't be scared. Act like you're playing with your friends and have fun, you know?
If a player was coming to you and was like, Mikey, I'm playing... Or if they said, like, I'm playing in high school, I'm thinking about playing in college, I want to be a professional player. I don't know. They're a little bit lost, right? They're like, I don't know if I have to go D1. I don't know if I have to go D2, D3, NAIA. Because a lot of the audience is American guys, right?
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of them get very overwhelmed. They reach out to schools, they don't reply. They feel like all the transfers are taking up all the spots, all the international players, and they don't feel like there's a pathway to go to the college system to go pro.
Yeah.
Right? So for a player that's a little bit lost, maybe they're 15, 16, 17,
Yeah.
their end goal is to be a pro, but they
Yeah.
don't know how to get there. What advice do you give to that player?
I would say is do your research first on the program. You want to find, because no matter what, a winning program always has attention from other people. A winning program, whether it's, you know, in college, whether it's Division 1, Division 2, maybe even NAIA. Because if you go NAIA, like, or Division 3, like, you have opportunities still, don't get me wrong. But again, if you do you and you play your part, you can easily transfer somewhere. You know, like, even if your team is not the best team, coaches look at you and be like, yo, this guy was still a standout there. And you have opportunities to keep making yourself up the ladder, you know? So but again, it all comes down to honestly, is finding the place, that the environment that fits you best, you know, and then locking in. And the most important thing is just trusting yourself. That's really what it is that, like, you know, for yourself as a player, as an ex-player, is that when you feel confident, you just play so good. And it's, at the end of the day, everyone's human, bro. Everyone's going to make mistakes. But the more you think about your mistakes, is the more mistakes you make. So no matter what, just trust yourself and just be confident, you know?
Especially as a striker, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially as a striker, like, you're, like, not scoring, or you feel like you're not getting the ball. How do you deal with that when you're not scoring?
Honestly, it's once you do score and you start scoring, people forgot about that you didn't score. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's that if I don't score, then the people are going to be like, oh, we lost because our striker can't finish. But if our defenders can't defend, then I can say, oh, yeah, I scored, but they let in 5 goals when I scored 3 goals. You know what I'm saying? So overall, it's just, you got to really just focus on yourself and just play your part, you know? So
I want to talk to about the role or the relationship between hard work and luck. Like, I talk to a lot of players and I say, like, let's talk about college, right? So you want to play in college, because I think being a pro is a different ball game to going and playing college. Like, playing college, there is a lot of colleges that need players. Being a pro is like, you know, how do you? Well, first let's talk about that. Like, how do you think if you want to play in college versus you want to be a pro, what do you think of the differences?
I mean, I definitely think playing college is a lot better, a lot easier, in terms of there's a lot higher possibilities, in terms of there's a lot more colleges than professional teams, for one. So I think when it comes to trying to find a college, it's persistency. Just keep reaching out. And I mean, the ugly truth is, if you're a decent footballer, you know, you can't be someone that's not really developed. If you're a decent footballer and you have something going for you, someone's going to answer you. Someone's going to be interested in you, you know? When it comes to being a professional now it luck, yes. I mean, it could be like, again, it can be you as a right back, a team can be interested in you, but maybe they don't need a right back, and it kind of just sucks, you know? Or maybe that you're not that good, but a team just really needs a right back and they find you know? So yeah, luck plays a part in it, but the better you are as a player and the more you develop and the more you keep, again, trusting yourself and doing the things that you need to do, the higher probability it is.
But the relationship between, I totally agree. And the relationship, and I say this all the time, like, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Like, the more people you talk to, the more doors you knock on.
That's exactly what it is.
Like, the more disciplined and consistent you are. Like, do you remember Zhao? You played with Zhao.
Yeah.
Zhao came back to Fusion like 3 times because he couldn't get a pro contract. What happens? He has one good season. He goes to train when Richmond need a number 10. He doesn't get offered something for the rest of the season, but they say, okay, next season you're going to be our number 8. Give him the number 8 jersey, and he's starting.
Yeah.
Like, you just need to be consistent, be disciplined.
That's the most important thing.
Because, like, especially for you as a striker, like, you have good games, you have bad games, you score goals, you miss goals. It's so up and down. But if you just keep going, keep working hard, people are going to look at you, and all it takes is that one opportunity, like that one spring game.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That you hit it right there. Is that the harder you work, the luckier you get. You know, so that's really what it is, to be honest.
Do you have an agent?
I don't.
So I did one of the last clips was like, if you want to be a pro, you have to have an agent, which I stand by.
Yeah.
You're a little bit different in terms of your situation.
I agree with you though. I still agree with you.
So why haven't you got an agent? That's interesting.
Honestly, so I kind of got to Miami from my coach in college, and then I've been with Miami ever since. And obviously, being from here, having my friends, my family, all this stuff, and honestly, I didn't plan on playing pro. So I kind of, knowing that I wanted to stay local, and I already had Miami, I didn't need an agent to help me find another team. And I signed with an agent, and now it's like, the little fees and stuff like that. Well, maybe I'll get one when I'm ready to potentially find a new team.
So you did the contract negotiation yourself?
Yeah.
You did everything yourself?
Yeah.
Interesting. You didn't think like, if I sign an agent, maybe I can get a bit more money, or that wasn't really in your
honestly,
thinking?
like, yeah, living at home still with my family and stuff, I was like, honestly, I never even imagined to that I was going to be able to make this team. I was more of like, I'm just so happy to be here, because all these guys have ridiculous resumes where you look at them and you're like, whoa, you kind of want to, like kiss their ass a little bit and talk to them and all this stuff. But it's like, damn, like he could be my teammate, so I can't do too much.
How do you manage that ego? Because like, for a lot of players, striker, like I was the best striker in my D2. I was the best striker. I scored all these goals. Everyone's talking about me. And then you go to like a USL Championship locker room and you're like, this guy's played here, here, here.
Yeah.
How was your ego?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely humbling, especially that when you first. So when I first got to Miami, actually, they played me at right back. So
yeah, tell me about this.
Yeah, so like maybe a week or two before the trial, the coach calls me and he's like, hey, like, can you play right back? And I mean,
you're not gonna say no.
Exactly, So I'm like, oh yeah, coach, like I got that, like just throw me on the field. So coming as a number 9 and then going to go play right back, like, so I was already kind of nervous. Not nervous, but I was kind of antsy, like, oh, I want to go.
It's a trial. You have a lot of pressure,
exactly,
and then you're like, now I have to play right back too.
Exactly. So then I already had a little nerves or anxiousness going to play as number 9 against these bigger grown men, and then now I hear a week out, hey, yeah, like we need an extra right back. So I'm like, yeah, coach, don't worry, play me.
But did you feel a bit disrespected though? Because I would feel a bit like, guys, like
honestly, yeah, because so. No disrespect, but my goalie coach at NSU Nova, he was also the goalie coach for Miami FC. So and then when I spoke to him, he told me, hey, like we got 2 really good number 9s to where they might ask you to play a different position. So now in my head, being a number 9, being kind of having that ego, you're like, let me see what these guys got. Let me see if they better than me. You know what I'm saying? So when I got there, obviously I had to play my part, be the right back, kind of sit on the side, whatever. Was I a good right back? No. It took time to adapt. I eventually got better throughout time, but throughout this whole trial, I was the worst right back there for sure.
Did you feel a bit disrespected though? Because you're like, guys, I'm turning up, like this is a trial, this is a big opportunity for me, and you're putting me right back, like this isn't fair, or did you just think like I'm going at it? Like
honestly, it was on your way to practice and away from, you're kind of just like, damn, that sucks. Like I'm playing right back, like I can't really show who I am as a player, But on the field, knowing that I wanted to win, especially when those other forwards are going up against you, you're like, show me what you have. Show me why I can't play where, and it makes you go harder, and it kind of motivates you just to play harder and harder and harder. And whatever the center back next to me, whatever he's telling me, I'm like, all right, good. If this is going to help make sure that this guy doesn't score, then good, Yeah, so right. That's just all it was. Just once I'm playing, it's just like, I don't care. I just don't want to lose,
So they were looking at you a right back, but they signed you as a striker, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so the trial lasted a month long, and then throughout every couple weeks, every week or so, they were, after a game, they were cutting people, So when it came to actually the first game to be cut, I already knew I was gonna get cut. I was awful at right back. Let's be real, I was awful. And they had 2 games in that same day, and there was a starting team and a second team, and then the second team, obviously, is the team I was part of. They were playing a game, and the striker, they had 1 striker play for each game, whatever, the starting team and the second team, and the striker for this second team in the first 15 minutes of the game gets a concussion. And keep in mind, like, I already accepted my fate. I knew that they were cutting people this day. I knew there was a 99% chance I was getting cut. And I'm on part of the second team. I'm on the bench, and I was probably the only guy on the bench. So I was there swinging my legs. I was talking to guys on the first team, just like, hey, y'all cool people, Boom, the guy gets a concussion. The coaches call my name. I'm not even paying attention. I'm there just trying to say bye to everyone, basically. And they call me, and I run onto the field like, oh, where am I going? Like, supposedly you played striker, right? Like, go play up top. Oh, really? And then now I'm like, damn, this is my last day here. let me have fun. Like, I have nothing to lose at this point, So again, it comes to just trusting yourself. And I knew that I'm a lot better striker than I was a right back. I was like, let me have fun. I'm not worried about making no mistakes. Either way, I'm probably going home, I ended up playing well, played really well. And after that, they were cutting people, and I heard guys were like, yeah, they told me not to come back next week. And I was like, damn, this is real. Like, I don't want to go. If I don't talk to them, they can't cut me. So I'm not gonna go in the office. I'm chilling. I went to take an ice bath. I went to go stretch. I was doing abs. I was doing everything I could. Just like, they don't talk to me, I'm coming back. It doesn't matter. So and then eventually the coach came out. I was like, Mikey, like, we've been waiting on you. Like, come on, let's go. We have to go. I was like, damn.
10 more minutes.
Come on, are you sure, coach? So then everyone goes into the meeting with him all showered and stuff, all of this. I'm still in my practice clothes because I was doing everything else that I needed to do. And they actually told me, they're like, hey, honestly, like what you did today, it really surprised us. We don't know if you had a really good game or what it was, but we want to see you again next week. And then they are going forward. They stopped with this right back foolishness, and started actually playing me in up top as a number 9.
And how did that make you feel? How was that conversation? You went in there expecting them to be like, never see you again.
It's kind of one of them ones where like it's a serious conversation, but you want to smile, but you can't seem too happy. You're just like, yeah,
because you don't want to give off that you're,
But then now, obviously, as the week goes, as the new week comes, and you're actually playing in your position now, as a number 9, it gives you confidence. I was like, oh wow, like he likes me, and like.
You feel like you're just playing part of a team.
Yeah, like now I'm actually playing my position. And then now, like, I had that little confidence for the next practice where now I'm hitting in goals. And now people are like, yeah, Mikey, go. And I'm like, yeah, guys, yeah, what's up? So it was cool, and it was fun. It was fun for sure. And after that, you start gaining the respect of people, like, oh, wow, like, you're actually a pretty good player, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
And how was the transition from being on trial, staying to getting your first contract?
So yeah, honestly, it was because when you're on trial and you're not really part of the team, obviously there's certain guys on the team who don't really, I guess, respect you as much. It's like, oh, he's just a practice player. He's not nothing. He has no value, whatever. So, being there every single day and stuff like that, it was more of a mental battle. Like, bro, I'm worth something. Like, you guys need to sign me. But it came down to a budget thing where they expressed to me before the first game of the season is that, like, we really like you, but we just don't have the budget to sign another player. But keep training with us. And obviously being local and stuff like that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep coming here. And then it got to a point where again injuries came, and I guess that's where you can say the luck happened. To where I kept working hard, kept going, whatever, and luck happened where a lot of injuries.
This is so important because you need to. Because a lot of players would be like, all right, they're not going to sign me. I'm going to go and get a job now. I've got my college degree. I'm going to go and get a job. I'm going to go and do this. And I'm going to not stop going to the gym. If you don't want to sign me, see you later. Goodbye. I'm disrespected. Yeah. But you were like, all right.
Honestly, because of COVID, I started a master's. So then I was still in school. So then I was honestly like, I want to go in the federal government and all these things, but I'm still in school to like, let me just I can keep doing this
until I finish football.
School. Exactly. I'm having fun at the end of the day. So I kept going, and again, eventually, like, being the person I was like, these guys are missing out on me. Like, I can actually play, and I've shown them now at this point I can play at this level. So I just came every day, and eventually one day, the coach calls me. Like, they had a lot of injuries, and the coach called me. He's like, hey, like, you've been training with us. We love what you're able to do and all this stuff, and we just want to know, like, if you want a 25-day contract. And I was like, Coach, honestly, I've been here long enough. Yes, please, I'd be thankful for that. And I got lucky enough to get that opportunity.
So you backed yourself. You were confident. How did you stay motivated throughout the trial? Why didn't you give up?
It was more of a just in terms of how serious everyone else took it. It was more of a. I stayed motivated just in terms of I didn't want to be the worst guy anymore. Like, now I was playing right back. I knew how that felt every day. I was scared to show my face, scared to, I came in the next. Honestly, when I was playing right back, every time we play small-sided and the coach was like, hey, Mikey, go on the green team. I look at the green team and they're like, oh my God, he's on our, and it was just like, hey guys, like Mikey, hey, just stay over there and try to, and it got to a point where when I was playing striker now, you start seeing that people, like, their whole perspective of you change. You know what I'm saying? To where they're like, wait, Mike, he's not that bad, guys. Like, and then you start seeing when we're picking teams for small-sided now, like, I'm getting picked like top 10, and I'm like, whoa, and it kind of, bro, I'm getting better, so kind of, and now you're getting better and you're aware that this is a very good environment, so you're like, yo, this is fun now.
Yeah. This is really important because it's like, players go into a trial thinking like I have to be 100% on day one, otherwise they're going to lose, and then players lose respect for you, and they kind of like they go down. But for you it was the opposite. You kind of like came in you went like the players were kind of disrespecting you, and then you got better and better and better, and you kind of like went with the flow. So like you were just consistent, turned up, worked hard, and you didn't really care what.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a professional environment to where, you know, if me and you are right backs and we're on the same team, it's like, I guess it's a friendly competition, you know, where it's like, I hope the best for you, but I want to do better than you. You know what I'm saying? To where, again, certain people feel threatened, and maybe they don't want to, you know, they don't want to greet you as nicely and things like that as a guy that's a center back in your striker.
Yeah, because like, for example, in college, like you got 30 players on the roster. Yeah. Some of them are paying a lot to be there. Some of them are on a full scholarship. Yeah. You know, like, you don't really have trialists during the season, do you? So everyone's there. Like, I don't really care if you do well or not. Like, we're trying to win. But then when you're at the pros and you have a trialist, it's like, I don't want this guy to do well.
And the other striker is kind of like, if I'm here, why do they need to have another striker on trial? You know, so where he's kind of just like, who's this guy? Is
it a weird culture, a weird kind of vibe?
It definitely has to do with, I guess, the team, you know. But it was a new team at the time, you know, a lot of new players and stuff like that. So a lot of guys were, again, in vulnerable positions to where they needed to prove their point to maybe be a starter, you know. To anyone else that was there in that position, it was kind of just like, you know. So it was like that, and then other players who have their friends that play that position, they're kind of backing their friends to where when you make a little mistake, they're like, yo, come on, like da-da-da, and that guy does one thing good, and it's like, yeah, you know. So but as time went on and things like that, you start seeing that, like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, like, yo, he's getting better, like, you know. Fair play to him, you know. Nice. And when you see that change, it kind of motivates you, like, yo, like, I just got here now, and now I can feel comfortable that I don't want to change this.
What would you have told yourself, like, going back to the Mikey that was day one before the trial? What would you have told yourself
in terms of like
like how to deal with the trial? Like,
again,
what advice would you give yourself to prepare you for the trial?
Honestly, it was again, it just came back to just be you, man. You know, and like, as long as you like, obviously it's very competitive and stuff like that, but as long as you stay respectful off the field and you do your things that you need to do on the field, and people see that you're genuinely trying, and then on top of that, then you're getting better, everyone's gonna respect it. You know, it's not like I'm shit on the field and then I go and they see me eating Domino's pizza and then going out getting drunk and then coming in and being shit. You know, I'm just, like, people saw I genuinely cared when I was there, and then as maybe annoyed them because I wasn't at that level. But as time goes on and you get better and better, people start respecting you. You know, they're like, yo, this guy, he's developing, bro.
I want to talk about like off the pitch too, because you went to Nova, you play for Miami. There's a lot of distractions. Yeah, like you have Miami, like the city that doesn't sleep. You know, a lot of partying, going out. Have you had a period where you had a lot of distractions and you failed to make assignments and you were distracted by that? And then now I'm assuming that you don't have the distractions and you're well behaved and you're focusing on your diet and you're sleeping. Yeah. And how was kind of the transition from like going out partying to being well behaved?
So, I mean, I've kind of been in Miami or Florida, South Florida my whole life, you know, and then I went to college in Fort Lauderdale to where it's similar, you know, like there's a lot of girls, a lot of distractions, a lot of things to go on. So I lived enough of that in college to where it got to the point where it doesn't excite you that much anymore. You know, it's the norm now. You know that if you are feeling lonely, you can kind of just step outside and you know, and then that excitement goes away. And then on top of that too, now to help me, I moved back in with my parents. So at first when I was in college, I was living in an apartment and I was, you know, living it up with my boys, having fun. And then when I decided that I want to lock it in focus, then I moved back home with my family to kind of make sure I didn't drift left or right, you know.
And then in terms of going out and being a pro footballer, I'm sure that it's very easy to like go out, get attention. Yeah. Girls are like probably in your DMs, you know, sliding in and all of this, and they want you to come here or this. How do you stay locked in and stay focused, and after a game, not going for a night out, getting back at 4 a.m.? How do you lock in?
Honestly, it sucks. So my first time there in Miami, I had a 25-day contract, you know. So to me, I was like, I'm not really a pro. Like, I'm here temporarily, you know. So to me, it was like I still need to prove my point to get a solid contract, you know. So these guys were out partying and stuff like that, but now to me, it was like I need to get better than him. I need to take this guy's job.
That was your edge.
Exactly. You know, like I loved when I saw them partying. I was like, maybe I'm not gonna be doing all this extra stuff. But I was like, at least I know that I'm not hungover the next day. Maybe I can go for a little run or something, you know. So to me, I never felt secure enough to even feel like I felt like if I went out, I was just gonna ruin any type of bear kind of thing I was holding on to, you know.
Good. So. How do you feel like the Mikey from junior, senior year of Nova is to the Mikey now?
I'll just say, honestly, the mentality is kind of the same when it comes to on the field, but I'd say off the field, it's just a lot more discipline. You know, that you start really, because obviously when you go pro, the training and everything's a lot harder, the demands. When you play games, you're traveling everywhere where you need to recover and all this stuff to where you start realizing how off-field habits really affect you, you know. So, and again, luckily enough in college I was able to live all this crazy and stuff life to where those little things don't really excite you no more.
Yeah.
You know it's there, so whenever you want it, you can kind of go and get it, you know.
And I feel like for you, you're a very motivated person. I think motivation comes and goes, but the key is like discipline and consistency.
Yeah.
How do you stay disciplined?
Especially as a striker, you know how it feels when you're not scoring goals, and you know how it feels when you are scoring goals, you know. And when you are scoring goals, and then you go and you see the fans, and everyone's like, "Whoa, can I get a picture? Can I send you some my shirt, whatever?" And then when you're not scoring goals, it's kind of like you just feel like you just let your team down, kind of thing, you know. While when you are scoring, you feel like the top man, you know. So the discipline and the motivations kind of comes from like me as being a number 9. I love feeling like the top man. I love feeling like, oh yeah, we won because of Mikey. You know what I'm saying? And I know that I have to keep doing these little things off the field to make sure when it comes down to the games and stuff like that, that I can kind of show off in front of the fans and be able to score the goals in front of people and get the attention. You know, so it sucks, but my motivation is just to make sure that the eyes kind of stays on me. And I got to stay disciplined.
I mean, I think that's the key of a good striker is like having an ego, but like a good ego, not like an arrogant ego. Like I want to be the guy, but I'm only going to be the guy if I score goals. And if I score goals, the team is going to win, you know? But for you, have you like had time to appreciate your story? Do you appreciate like where you've come from to who you are? Is it kind of settled in?
Yeah, I mean, because I hate when I say I never planned on playing pro to people, because there's guys who have dreamt about that since a young person, and they've done everything they can growing up to get to that level, you know. So like I hate when I express like, oh yeah, I never really planned on going pro when I was in college and stuff like that. But I'm at a point now where I can wake up every day and just be like, thank you, you know. Like I'm here in Miami and I'm playing, and that's why now it's kind of a little disrespectful to not just myself but others around, like when you're not taking it serious, you know. I am lucky, you know, like I worked hard, and then a lot of luck happened to fall in my favor as well too, you know.
Why do you think you are where you are now? What was kind of the big factors that played a role in your success? It
definitely obviously started off with my college environment in terms of how serious a lot of, because again, you know, some colleges you go to, it's all about partying and all that stuff. And the team I was on, not to say that we didn't party and have fun and stuff, but guys were willing to want to just win, and guys came from higher levels to where there were certain expectations and stuff like that. So that right there just kind of flipped your switch. Like I want to fit in, because I felt like when I was below the level, guys didn't really like you. They don't really respect you. You know, they kind of, when they go out, they kind of like, yo, like, what is he doing here? You know, so it's kind of like, bro, you need to get better so you can actually feel like you actually fit in with these people instead of just disappointing them. And,
right.
You know, so.
Interesting. And then in terms of like you and your career, you're playing in the USL Championship now. What's next for you? Do you think about the future? Do you think about next season? Do you think about where you want to be when you retire? Like what's kind of motivating you now to get better and grow in your career?
Honestly, I take it day by day. You know, like I'm not thinking about next season. I'm not thinking about the next 5 years. It's more of, I know I have my master's in college to where if I want to, I can go and work a job. You know, to me, it's more of every day I go wake up and play footy. It's just, bro, just have fun. You know, the day I'm not having fun, then I'll start thinking about what's next. You know, so in terms of now, bro, it's like every day I wake up, I just want to have fun. You know, I wake up, I play footy for two hours of the day, and I go home. It's like, what is there to complain about? What is there to think about? Just have fun and just make sure you keep doing the right things.
But do you have goals? Like, do you want to play in the MLS? Do you want to be like USL Championship top scorer? Do you want to go abroad?
Honestly, as I've kind of lived this kind of college soccer career, it's more of a play the best you can play and just see where life takes you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna stress myself out and be like, oh, I need to score 50 goals so I can make it to Europe or go to MLS. You know, I'm gonna keep doing the things I need to do, and my performance, if it speaks for itself, then whatever opportunities come, then let's do it. You know, because the more you stress about things that because sometimes things are out of your control. You know, I can be a very good striker, but maybe the team behind me isn't the best and I'm not getting a lot of opportunities, and now I'm going to go home and beat myself up because I didn't score, you know, or maybe you're a goalkeeper that's a very good goalie, but your defense is not that good and you're just getting 100 shots and maybe you made 90, but 10 goals happen to go on you, you know. It's like you can't stress about those things. It's just do you and have fun, man.
Oh man, preach. I love that. And then just lastly, I wanted to talk about like advice for people listening to the podcast. So like I said, a lot of the audience is like young American players. They want to go to college, they want to go pro, they just want to play at the next level. Like whether that be UPSL, whether that be USL, whether that be D1, D2, D3. They just want to kind of get better at soccer.
Yeah.
So what do you see are the different, because you played in the USL too, I played in the USL too, and I always say, like, I've played with guys NAIA, JUCO, D3, D2, D1, and like the top players at each of those brackets, they have ability to go and play pro. Like, you don't need to play D1.
Yeah,
just to be a pro.
any level. The top players can play anywhere.
What do you see are the characteristics, not in terms of level, in terms of like the player habits from being a pro? Like, why are pros different to the rest?
I would say it's just the obviously it's the the speed of play, and some players have the technical ability, some players have the athleticism and stuff like that. But I would say most people, again, it comes down to the off-field habits. A lot of most pros take care of themselves off the field, to where when they come, they're in very good shape. Like when you go to college and you're playing college, you see some people, you're like, bro, this guy's kind of big. How is he running for 90 minutes? When you go pro, you don't, maybe a goalkeeper, you know what I'm saying? Where you can see that everyone kind of cares about how they feel and look on the field, where they take it just a little bit more serious. And every time you take it serious day by day, it adds up.
What's been your favorite moment so far of playing pro?
I'd say my second pro game, I played against Inter Miami, and it was a big, NSU was a small D2 to where we were good, but we didn't get that many fans. And I played one game with Miami. Then the very next game now, I'm playing in front of like 10,000 people. I was like, whoa, hey everybody.
How was that transition? Like, were you nervous the day before? Did you just approach it how you approach everything else? Like, I'm just going to play and have fun? Or
honestly, I try to tell myself that. And like the day before, I told all my boys, like, yo, guys, I'm playing against Inter Miami. Like, I'm a pro now, And I wasn't nervous. I didn't think about anything. But then as soon as you're pulling up into the game and you start seeing all the,
this is different.
Yeah, you like this. Then this is serious. Like so many people are here right now just to watch this game. Then like, what's going on? And as you're warming up, you're kind of like taking it all in, like looking around, like whoa, But when it comes to you stepping on the field, then now it was more of a, I just want to win. I don't. Again, it comes down, just do you.
Good
just advice. Do you.
And then lastly, Mikey, in terms of advice, not for a player that wants to be a pro, not for a player that wants to just play D1, like just, a soccer player that's a bit lost, that just doesn't really know what they're doing. They know that they enjoy playing football, but they're not really sure what's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to
them? Are they like a youth?
Yeah, just 15, 16, like they're playing club soccer. Some of their friends are committed to college. Some of their friends are going to just study. They're not going to continue playing soccer. Yeah. They're not really sure.
I mean, I especially being an American, I definitely say is to, get an education. You know what I'm saying? Get an education to where you're not stressing so much on footy that this is do or die. Like being able to get my degree, it kind of helps. Like, hey, if this doesn't work out, it sucks and it's probably time to hang up the boots. But at least I know I have a, So I would say if you're taking football that serious, I would say get a degree, but also just make sure that you're doing everything you can actually off the field and on the field to get that opportunity. Because if you're not, you can't really complain, Like at least if it doesn't work out, you can say you gave it your all. But again, it takes some pressure off of you is to get a degree, get an education, or have at least a plan B, whether it's to open up, like just do something, where everything's just not thrown into that. Don't put all your eggs in one basket to where it's stressing you out, Okay.
Last question. Let's say that I want to be a pro, right? I want to be a pro, Mikey. Yeah. How do I become a pro?
How do you become a pro? How do you become a pro? That's actually a very good question. How do you become a pro? Are we talking about someone in college, someone in a youth again?
Both.
I would say it's always trying to put yourself in an environment to where you're not the best player. I don't know, maybe you're a really good player on your team now and you have full ego. It's time to up your level now. Now it's time to go to a team where the coach is telling you, like, it's a really good team, but the coach is telling you, I don't know if you're going to play, And it's just keep leveling up and going to a higher and higher level to where naturally everyone, no matter where you are, everyone eventually adapts and evolves and becomes better, especially when they're not a good player in that environment, So it's always stepping out of your comfort zone and just trying to keep going up and up and up.
Thank you. Thank you. Because a lot of the players are like, I'm the best player. Why haven't I got a college offer?
Exactly.
Why am I not a pro? And it's
Mhm.
like, because you're the best player in that team. Like, you
Mhm.
need to go and test yourself and
Exactly.
be challenged. Get out your comfort
And they'll
zone.
be surprised on how much better they can actually get once they go to an environment where they feel uncomfortable, and now they're thinking about every little detail, how they pass, how they touch, how and it just again, you just keep getting better and better and better and better.
Top
So
man. Awesome. I think that was probably one of the best episodes we did so far. But yeah, guys, if you are this far in the podcast, DM Mikey on Instagram, say thank you and what you learned from the podcast. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
yeah, thank you for having me.